The city lights glowed like a sea of fire under the night sky. Inside a tall glass tower, a man stood looking down at the world. His name was Victor Kane. He was not just rich, he was powerful. Every politician in the city respected him. Every businessman feared him. For him, life was a game of power, and he always won. But tonight, his mind was not on money or business. It was on his son. Victor's son, Adrian, was young, handsome, and kind. Victor had only one dream for him: to marry into a family of influence, a family with political power. Such a marriage would not just make their name greater, it would make them untouchable. Victor had already chosen the perfect match. The daughter of Senator Darius. She was beautiful, well-educated, and came from a bloodline that touched the heart of the government. For Victor, it was the only path forward. But Adrian's heart was different. Adrian never cared for power or wealth. While his father counted gold, Adrian looked for meaning. He liked to walk among ordinary people, to hear their stories, to feel their struggles. He believed life was more than climbing ladders. One evening, as he wandered the halls of their massive mansion, Adrian's eyes fell on someone new. She was a maid, dressed in plain clothes, carrying a silver tray. Her movements were careful, almost shy, but her eyes held something rare: honesty. Her name was Illyra. The first time their eyes met, something unspoken passed between them. Adrian felt it in his chest, like a spark. Illyra quickly lowered her gaze, afraid to be caught looking at the master's son. But that moment stayed with him. From that day, Adrian looked for excuses to see her. Sometimes in the kitchen, sometimes in the garden. They spoke only in small words at first, but slowly their voices grew warmer. She was different from anyone he had ever met. She listened, truly listened. She laughed without pretending. In her presence, Adrian felt free. But freedom had a price. Victor Kane was not blind. He noticed the small changes: the way his son smiled more often, the way he walked with lightness. He had seen such things before in other men. It was the sign of a heart in love. At first, Victor dismissed it. Perhaps it was nothing. But soon, whispers reached his ear. The son of the great Kane family was spending time with a servant girl. A maid. For Victor, this was not love. This was shame. One late night, Victor called his son to his private study. The room was filled with shadows, the air heavy with cigar smoke. Adrian entered, standing tall but nervous. "Sit down, Adrian," Victor said in his deep, commanding voice. Adrian obeyed. Victor poured 2 glasses of whiskey, though only he drank. His eyes, sharp as knives, studied his son. "You are my only heir," Victor began. "Our name is everything. Our blood must rise higher, not sink lower. Do you understand what I mean?" Adrian's voice was steady. "I understand, father." Victor leaned forward. "Then you will marry Senator Darius's daughter. The deal is already in motion. This union will give us control of the city council. No one will dare oppose us again." Adrian's chest tightened. He had expected this. Yet still, his father's words felt like chains. "Father," Adrian said slowly, "what if my heart chooses another path?" Victor's hand froze on the glass. For a moment, silence ruled the room. Then, his eyes narrowed. "Your heart," he said, his tone sharp. "Your heart is a luxury you cannot afford. Do you think power comes from following feelings? No. Power comes from sacrifice. You will do as I command. Adrian clenched his fists under the table, but he did not answer. Victor studied him for a long time, then gave a cold smile. You may think I do not know, Adrian. But I see more than you imagine. Do not test me. That night, Adrian could not sleep. He walked alone in the garden, the air cold against his skin. He thought of Illyra, her smile, her kindness, her quiet strength. His father's plan was a cage. But Illyra's presence was freedom. Yet freedom and power could never live together. Inside the house, Victor made his own moves. He called one of his most trusted men, a shadow who worked silently and asked no questions. Watch my son, Victor ordered. And watch the maid. I want to know every step they take. Every word they speak. The man bowed and disappeared into the night. Victor returned to the window of his tall tower, his eyes burning with ambition. Adrian may resist, he muttered to himself. But in the end, he will obey. He must obey. In the quiet of her small servant's room, Illyra sat by the window. She looked at the stars above, her face thoughtful. She had seen the way Victor looked at her earlier, with suspicion. She knew her place in this world was fragile. But deep in her heart, she also knew something Victor did not. She was not just a maid. Her past carried secrets that, if revealed, could shake the Kane family's empire to its core. And as Adrian lay awake, torn between duty and love, Illyra whispered softly to the stars. It has begun. The mansion was silent at night. The servants had gone to their rooms, and the city outside was sleeping under the dark sky. But inside, two people were still awake. Adrian walked quietly down the empty corridor. His footsteps were soft, careful, as if every shadow carried ears. His father's warning still echoed in his mind, but his heart pulled him in another direction. Toward her. He reached the small servants' garden at the back of the house. There, under the silver light of the moon, Illyra was waiting. She wore no jewels, no fine dress, only the plain clothes of a maid. Yet to Adrian, she looked more radiant than anyone he had ever known. You should not be here, she whispered when she saw him. Her voice was calm, but her eyes carried fear. If your father finds out. Adrian stepped closer, his gaze firm. He already knows, he said softly. Or at least, he suspects. But I don't care. I cannot stay away from you, Illyra. Her hands trembled slightly as she placed the tray she was carrying onto a stone bench. You don't understand, she said. I am not who you think I am. Adrian frowned. You are Illyra. That is enough for me. She shook her head, her face shadowed with sorrow. No, my past is not as simple. I was not born to serve. I once belonged to a world far away from here, a world that was destroyed. Adrian's eyes widened. Destroyed? By whom? Illyra hesitated. Her lips pressed tight as if holding back a storm. By men like your father, she whispered at last. By men who wanted power above all else. My people were enslaved, scattered across the stars. I escaped. But to survive, I hid. Here, in your father's house. Adrian's breath caught in his chest. He reached for her hand, gripping it tightly. Then you are not just a maid. You are a survivor. She looked into his eyes, searching for doubt. But she found none. His gaze was steady, warm, full of belief. For a moment, the world around them disappeared. Only two hearts remained, beating in the silence of the night. But far away, in the dark corners of the mansion, eyes were watching. A man dressed in black stood hidden among the shadows of the corridor. He carried no lantern, no weapon, he needed none. His work was silent. His orders were clear: watch the sun, watch the maid, and report everything. Through a small device in his pocket, he captured their voices, their faces, their secret meeting under the moonlight. He smiled faintly. This was the proof Victor Kane wanted. Back in the garden, Adrian pulled Illyra closer. "Listen to me," he said with urgency. "My father wants me to marry the senator's daughter. But I will not. I choose you." Illyra's eyes filled with tears. "Do not say that. It will destroy you. He will never forgive it. And I cannot bear to see harm come to you." Adrian touched her cheek gently. "Let him do what he wants. I am not afraid. With you, I feel stronger than I ever have." Her tears slipped down her face, but she smiled softly. "You are foolish," she whispered, "but your foolishness warms my heart." They stood together under the night sky, two souls bound by something far greater than duty or blood. But their moment of peace was short. The next morning, Victor Kane sat in his grand study. The spy entered quietly, bowing low. "Sir," the man said, placing a small device on the desk. "As you ordered." Every word, every look. The sun and the maid, together. Victor's hand clenched into a fist. His face remained calm, but his eyes blazed like fire. "Play it," he ordered. The room filled with the voices of Adrian and Illyra. Their whispers, their promises, their secret confessions. Victor listened without moving, without blinking. When the recording ended, silence hung heavy in the air. Victor finally spoke, his voice cold and sharp. "So it is true. My son has chosen shame over destiny." The spy bowed again. "What do you command, sir?" Victor's eyes narrowed. "The girl is dangerous. She must be removed." That night, Illyra felt a strange presence in the halls. She looked over her shoulder more than once as she carried out her duties. A shadow seemed to follow her wherever she went. In her small room, she packed a small bag, just in case. She had always known this day might come. She had run before she could run again. But her heart ached. Leaving would mean never seeing Adrian again. When the door suddenly creaked open, she froze. But it was not the shadow she feared. It was Adrian. "Illyra," he whispered urgently. "I overheard my father. He knows. He is planning something." Her face turned pale. "Then it is already too late," she whispered. "He will not stop until he has me under his control, or destroyed." Adrian's jaw tightened. "Then I will stop him. I swear it." She touched his hand, fear and hope mixing in her eyes. "You cannot fight him alone." He looked at her with fierce determination. "Then we fight together." Outside the door, unseen, the shadow lingered once more. His orders had been clear. But as he watched the two young hearts cling to each other, even he felt a flicker of hesitation. Still, duty was duty. And by sunrise, Victor Kane would know every detail. The Kane mansion stood tall in the morning light, but inside its walls, tension was growing like a storm. Victor Kane sat at the head of the breakfast table. His son Adrian walked in, followed by the quiet steps of Illyra serving tea. Victor's sharp eyes flickered toward them, noticing every glance, every small smile that passed between them. He did not speak until Adrian sat. Then his deep voice filled the room. "Adrian," he said calmly, "I warned you once. But warnings seem to mean nothing to you." Adrian's hand tightened on his cup. "Father." Victor slammed his palm against the table. "Enough. You dishonor this family. You throw away everything I built for what? A servant girl." The words cut deep, but Adrian's voice was steady. "She is more than that. She has a heart stronger than all your riches, father. She is not just a maid." Victor's face darkened. "Do not speak her name before me again." Illyra lowered her eyes, trembling, but inside she felt fire. For too long she had hidden her past. Now, the truth demanded to be spoken. She looked up, her voice quiet but strong. "He is right. I am not only a maid. I came here because I was running. My home was destroyed by men who used power to enslave the weak. I hid because I had no choice. But I am not powerless." Victor's sharp gaze turned toward her. "So the rat finally speaks," he sneered. "Do you think your sob story changes anything? You are still nothing. And nothing cannot stand beside my son." Adrian rose from his chair, anger burning in his eyes. "She is not nothing. She is everything. And if you cannot see that, then you are the one who is blind." The room fell into silence. Servants nearby froze, afraid to breathe. No one had ever spoken to Victor Kane like this, not even his own blood. That night, Victor called his council of advisors in his private office. Powerful men and women sat around a long table. "The boy is reckless," Victor said coldly. "He has allowed weakness to cloud his judgment. This woman is a danger to our future. She must be controlled, or removed." One advisor leaned forward. "Shall we make her disappear, sir?" Victor's eyes narrowed. He tapped his fingers on the table, thinking. "Not yet. Her removal must break him. Only then will he learn obedience." The room echoed with silent agreement. Meanwhile, Adrian and Illyra met secretly again, in the quiet of the garden. The night air was cool, but their hearts burned with urgency. "They will come for you," Adrian whispered. "He has too much power. He will not stop." Illyra touched his hand gently. "I told you, Adrian. I have run before. I can run again." Adrian shook his head firmly. "No. Not this time. I won't let you run alone. I will protect you." Her eyes filled with tears. "Against your own father?" "Yes," Adrian said, his voice unshaken. "If love is weakness, then let me be weak. If power means killing what is good, then I want no part of it." For the first time, Illyra let herself believe. She told him more of her past, how her people had once lived free, until warlords conquered their world. She had escaped as a child, carrying nothing but memories. Adrian listened, his heart heavy. He realized that her story was not just about her. It was about the cost of power itself. And now, that same hunger for power lived in his father. 2 days later, everything changed. Victor ordered Illyra to be brought to his private chambers. Guards escorted her, their faces hard and cold. Adrian tried to follow, but the door slammed shut in his face. Inside, Victor stood waiting, tall and cruel. "So," he said slowly, circling her like a predator. "You think you are strong. You think my son loves you. But love is nothing. Power is everything." Illyra stood straight, refusing to bow. "Then your power is built on fear. It will crumble. Victor's eyes blazed. Do you think you can take my son from me? I will show you what happens to those who stand in my way. He turned to his guards. Lock her in the lower chambers. No one sees her. No one speaks to her. The guards grabbed her arms, dragging her away. She struggled, but their grip was iron. From outside the door, Adrian heard her cry his name. His chest filled with rage. He slammed his fists against the door until his knuckles bled. "Father," he shouted. "Let her go." But the door did not open. That night, Adrian sat alone in his room, his face shadowed by anger and sorrow. He knew his father would never release her. He knew only one choice remained. He would have to defy Victor Kane. He would have to break the chains of power that bound them. And he would risk everything to save the woman he loved. Adrian rose to his feet, determination burning in his eyes. He whispered to himself, as if making a vow. "Power may be yours, father. But love will be mine. I will not let you win." Far below the mansion, in the dark chambers, Illyra sat chained. But even in the shadows, she whispered words of hope. "Adrian will come," she said softly. "And when he does, the world will change." Her voice echoed in the silence like a prophecy. And in that moment, the battle between power and love truly began. The Kane mansion looked calm from the outside, its tall walls shining under the moonlight. But inside, fire was building. A son was ready to betray his father. Adrian moved quickly through the dark halls. He knew the guards' patrols, the hidden doors, the secret passages. He had grown up in this house. It was his prison, but also his map. Tonight, he would use that knowledge to free Illyra. His heart pounded as he reached the lower chambers. Behind heavy iron doors, Illyra was locked away like a criminal. He pressed his ear against the stone wall. In the silence, he thought he could hear her faint voice whispering his name. He clenched his fists. "Hold on, Illyra. I'm coming." But Adrian was not the only one moving that night. Victor Kane sat in his private study, sipping a glass of wine. He knew his son. He knew the boy's heart too well. And he knew Adrian would try to rescue the girl. A small smile touched his lips. "Let him come," Victor muttered. "Let him choose his foolish love. And then I will break him with his own choice." He pressed a button on his desk. Instantly, a dozen guards armed with shock rifles took their positions in the corridors leading to the chambers. The trap was ready. Adrian reached the iron door at last. A guard stood there, half asleep. Adrian grabbed him from behind, knocking him unconscious with a swift blow. He searched the man's belt and found a ring of keys. With shaking hands, Adrian unlocked the door. It creaked open, and there she was. Illyra sat against the wall, her wrists chained, her face pale but her eyes burning with strength. When she saw him, tears filled her eyes. "Adrian," she whispered. He rushed to her side, pulling her into his arms. "I promised I'd come." He broke the chains with the guard's keys. Her hands were free at last. She looked at him with fear and love. "You should not have come. Your father." "I don't care," Adrian cut her off. "I won't let him take you from me." But before they could move, the sound of boots echoed in the corridor. Heavy. Many. Illyra's face turned pale. "It's a trap." The first guards appeared at the door, rifles raised. "Don't move," one shouted. Adrian stepped in front of Illyra, his eyes blazing. "If you want her, you'll have to go through me." The guards advanced, but Adrian moved quickly. He grabbed the unconscious guard's weapon and fired. A blast of blue light shot across the room, knocking two men to the ground. Illyra pulled him back. "We can't fight them all. We need to escape." Together, they ran through the dark halls, the sound of alarms filling the air. Guards chased them, but Adrian knew the secret paths. He led Illyra through hidden doors and narrow stairways, every step a race against time. Still, the mansion was a cage, and Victor Kane was its master. At the top of the stairs, a door burst open. And there he stood. Victor Kane. Flanked by his elite guards, he blocked their path like a wall of stone. His eyes were cold, his voice sharp as steel. "So it comes to this," he said. "My own blood, running through the house like a thief, for a servant." Adrian held Illyra's hand tightly. His voice shook, but not with fear. "She is not a servant. She is the woman I love. And I will not give her up." Victor's laugh was low, cruel. "Love. A word for children. Power is what keeps us alive. Power is what rules the world. You think love will save you? It will destroy you." Adrian's eyes burned. "Then let it destroy me. I will never be your puppet." Victor's smile faded. His hand lifted, and the guards raised their rifles. "Then you have chosen your fate." For a moment, time froze. Illyra stepped forward, her voice ringing out. "You call power your strength. But I have seen power destroy worlds. I watched it burn my home. And I swore I would never bow to it again." Victor's eyes narrowed. "Then you will bow to death." He gave the order. "Fire!" Shots blazed through the hall. Adrian pulled Illyra behind a stone pillar. Energy blasts shook the walls. The mansion became a battlefield. Adrian fought back, firing when he could, shielding Illyra with his own body. She grabbed a fallen guard's weapon and fired too, surprising him with her courage. Together, they pushed forward. But the guards were many, and every hallway was blocked. Finally, Victor stepped closer, unharmed, untouchable. He looked at his son with pure fury. "You disappoint me, Adrian," he said. "I gave you everything. And this is how you repay me." Adrian's voice rose, filled with pain and defiance. "You gave me riches, father, but no soul. Illyra gave me something you never could, truth." Victor's face twisted in rage. He raised his weapon, aiming directly at Illyra. Adrian stepped in front of her, spreading his arms wide. "If you want her, you'll have to kill me first." The hall went silent. Guards froze, waiting for the command. Victor's finger tightened on the trigger. Illyra gripped Adrian's hand, her voice trembling but strong. "This is not the end. Not yet." And in that moment, something strange happened. A glow lit up around her palm, soft and silver, as if a hidden power deep inside her had awakened. Victor's eyes widened. For the first time, his mask of control cracked. "What are you?" he whispered. Illyra looked at him with steady eyes. "I am not your servant. I am your downfall." The great hall of the Kane mansion was filled with smoke and echoes of battle. Guards lay unconscious across the floor. Broken weapons sparked in the corners. And in the middle stood three figures: Victor Kane, his son Adrian, and Illyra, her hand glowing with a strange silver light. Victor's cold eyes locked onto Illyra. "So this is your secret," he said in a low voice. "Not a maid at all, but a weapon." Illyra's breathing was heavy, but her voice was calm. I am not a weapon. I am a survivor. My people were hunted because of this power. And now you would do the same. Victor's lips curved into a cruel smile. On the contrary. With that power under my command, nothing could stop us. Adrian, listen to me, give her to me. Together, father and son, we could rule everything. This is destiny. Adrian stepped in front of Illyra, his eyes blazing. No, father. That is not destiny. That is slavery. You have spent your life chasing power, and it has left you blind. I will never join you. Victor's face darkened. Think, boy. Without me, you are nothing. Without power, you are nothing. Love will not protect you. Love will only destroy you. Adrian's voice shook with fury. Then let it destroy me. I would rather fall with love than rise with your corruption. The room grew tense. The guards who were still conscious held their weapons but dared not fire without Victor's command. The air itself felt heavy, as if waiting for one choice to shatter everything. Victor raised his gun slowly, aiming at Illyra. His voice was sharp as a blade. Then I will take away your love, and you will learn the truth. Watch her die, Adrian. Watch and remember what happens when you defy me. Illyra tightened her grip on Adrian's hand. The silver glow around her palm grew brighter. He cannot kill what is already stronger than him, she whispered. Victor pulled the trigger. A blast of energy shot across the hall. But before it could strike, Illyra raised her glowing hand. A shield of silver light burst around them, blocking the attack. The blast ricocheted off the shield and exploded against the ceiling, shaking the mansion. The guards fell back in terror. Dust rained down. The house trembled like it would collapse. Victor staggered, his eyes wide with shock. Impossible, he muttered. Illyra's voice was steady, powerful. You built your empire on fear, Victor Kane. But fear cannot stand against hope. And hope is what I carry. Adrian stepped forward, standing shoulder to shoulder with Illyra. His voice rang out, clear and strong. Father, you ask me to choose between power and love. Tonight, I choose love. And with it, I choose freedom. Victor's fury exploded. Then you are no son of mine. He fired again and again, desperate, enraged. But every blast was turned aside by Illyra's shield. The hall lit up with silver light, growing brighter with each attack. Finally, Illyra raised both hands. A wave of energy pulsed outward, knocking the weapons from every guard's hands and sending Victor crashing to his knees. The mansion fell silent. Victor looked up at them, broken but still defiant. You think you've won? Without power, the world will crush you. It always does. Adrian looked down at his father, his expression full of sorrow. Then let the world try. We will build something stronger than your empire. Something you could never understand. Victor's eyes burned with hatred, but for the first time, he had no reply. Illyra turned to Adrian, her silver glow fading slowly. She was pale, exhausted, but she smiled faintly. It is over, she whispered. Adrian held her close. No, he said softly. It is only the beginning. Together, they walked out of the great hall. The guards did not stop them. Some lowered their heads in shame, others in respect. Outside, the night sky was wide and endless. The stars shone above, silent witnesses to their escape. Illyra looked up, her eyes filled with tears. For so long, I thought I was alone. But now, with you, I am not afraid anymore. Adrian squeezed her hand. As long as we are together, Father's world cannot touch us. We will write our own destiny. Behind them, the once proud mansion stood in ruins, the symbol of a man who thought power was everything. But ahead of them lay something greater: love, hope, and freedom. Far inside the broken hall, Victor Kane sat among the ruins, his empire crumbling around him. His face was shadowed, his voice bitter. Love against power, he whispered. Let us see how long it lasts. But deep in his heart, he knew. For the first time in his life, Victor Kane had been defeated not by wealth, not by armies, but by something he had always mocked. By love.